The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Current and Joseph Christina as they serve up the hottest photography news and commentary.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 151. I'm Joseph Christina here with my co-host Trevor Current. On last week's episode, we talked about the Pentax 645Z medium format camera. Pixels.com takes a stab at image licensing, and Photo Jojo goes rental. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at digitalphotographycafe.com and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/dphotocafe. Listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps, or subscribe in iTunes or RSS.
So Joe, we're back. How you doing?
So how you doing? We are here, yes. Doing well.
I'm doing all right. Just kind of forewarn everybody, my voice is a little scratchy today, so it may sound a little jacked.
It's okay.
Not too bad, hopefully.
Everyone understands. Everyone understands.
Yep.
You're on the road to recovery. That's all that counts. It's
That's
good.
right.
It's all good. So we got a bunch of stuff this week. We're trying to keep them to the 30-minute number. So let's jump right into it, right? Lytro in the news this week. We've talked about them, 2 years ago or something?
Yeah.
It's been forever.
Yeah. They, 2 years ago, they launched the original Lytro camera, which was really cool because this camera gives you the ability to select your focus and your depth of field after the fact, after the image capture, which is really, really interesting technology that went into it. So now they have a second model called the Illum, and it's really interesting. I mean, it takes the same concept, formats it into a different body, a more camera-like body, as opposed to like that cube thing that they had before. Using a much larger sensor now. It's a 1-inch sensor, whereas the previous one was a 1/3 inch sensor.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing. So, yeah, I mean, overall, it's interesting technology.
Yeah, I like it, and I liked it from the very beginning because it's kind of like a lens baby or something. It just it allows you to kind of just expand your thought, and do stuff that's a little bit different. We all know about shooting extremely low depth of field type of thing, shooting at f1.4 or 1.2 and getting this absolute beautiful blurred backgrounds to really isolate the subject at hand. But the Lytro is the exact opposite. It's capturing everything from the absolute closest subject to the farthest. And then what's really neat is the software allows you to then go and put your finger on exactly where you want the focus, and it'll dial into that specific spot and then dump everything else out. So the technology is really neat. And I see this kind of moving into a camera and not, I wouldn't call this a toy, because it's really not a toy anymore, because the price range is not the way it used to be, a couple $100. Now we're looking at $1,600, guys. So but don't worry, if you already bought a Lytro, they'll give you $200 off.
Yeah, if you go buy the second gen here,
yeah. So, but it's just cool, just think about that whole idea of just taking a shot and then dialing in the focus exactly where you want it after the fact. I can see that, down the roads with cameras of the future, where you don't really have to select that specific spot until after the fact. It kind of just whittles us as photographers away, because it then allows the creativity to happen behind the computer instead of behind the camera. And I'm not a fan of that, Trev. I am not a fan of that at all. But I like it, but I just don't know if I like where it's going.
Yeah. I mean, the technology is interesting, right? But you don't want it to become a consumer level product where basically this will fall into, the basics of bodies, and anybody can just start clicking away and make the pretty picture after the fact. I mean, I guess not that there's anything wrong with that, right? I mean, we use Photoshop. We make things pretty after the fact all the time.
Right.
But, the part of the skill of the photographer is to be able to get it right in camera.
Exactly.
And by kind of taking one element of the creative process out, that allows you to kind of fix it in post.
Right.
Takes one more element of the professional photographer away and puts it into the hands of the novice. So, but with that said, I mean, interesting technology. It's running a f2 lens, a 30 to 250 millimeter equivalent. So
Right.
it's a stationary lens. It's not an interchangeable lens.
Exactly.
And it runs on Android, which is interesting, and it has a 4-inch articulating touchscreen. So they're kind of following along with what a lot of the other camera manufacturers are doing now. So
Yeah, I love the whole Android idea, because we talk about this
Yeah.
many times in the past, that I really do believe that most of the cameras out there, besides the major manufacturers, let's just say Nikon and Canon, to name two, they're going to, I think, start migrating into this Android type of, or quote unquote Android, doesn't have to be a derivative thereof,
Right.
of this open architecture, open OS on the cameras, where you can download apps. We've talked about this in the past. I could see that happening in the future for many cameras coming. So we'll see what happens. But them making this camera the way it is, the actual style of it, when you look at it, guys, we'll show it to you. It just looks cool. It really does
Yeah.
look cool. They made it look neat. It looks like something out of like Star Trek or something, right?
yeah, definitely kind of futuristic looking for sure.
Yeah, I like it. So, anyways, guys, look at it. We'll put put a link into the show notes so you can kind of give it a look see.
check it
And
out.
if you have over $1,000 burning a hole in your pocket and you want to test out this brand new Lytro, then give it a whirl. Let us know about it, because I don't think
exactly.
we're going to be grabbing one at any time real soon.
Now I got $1,600 I'll allocate for something else.
It's something, right?
Yeah.
So, more about phones and camera phones and where they're going. Well, Amazon is coming out with a new smartphone. And we know that Amazon, when they look at a product and they see money at the end, and they have a method of getting people into their store, let's say, into the door,
Right.
They do it, and they do it well. And in the past, they've done it with, perfect example is with the original, what was it, the Kindle, right?
Yeah.
Where they included 3G into the Kindle for free. And no one did that. They're like, what is that? So what happened was a lot of hackers went in there and they rooted their Kindle, and now all of a sudden they were tethered to their Kindle getting free connectivity, 3G. It wasn't 4G, but still at the time, it was 2007. That was huge, right? But it was
That
good
was really
for,
huge. That was really huge because, Amazon built the 3G into the original Kindle
Right.
in order to make downloading the books easier, because you could do it from anywhere. You didn't have to be hooked up to a Wi-Fi network.
Right.
And the kind of the engineering people out there, they figured out a way that they could actually access this 3G and utilize its capabilities for free. I mean, Amazon wasn't charging you for 3G access. It was
No.
just included as the part of the Amazon Kindle service.
Yeah, the e-ink, I think, is what they called that device at the time. And what did it do? It made the Kindle e-ink the biggest selling book reading device like ever, right?
Yeah.
Smart. They're smart over there at Amazon. Then what did they do? They moved from that and they went into a $50 LTE model into their Kindle Fire HD. So now for $50, you have this LTE plan that you can use on that for 250 gigabytes per month. I mean, 250 gigabytes, that's like as much as your DSL plan, like through AT&T or something, like at your home.
That's a lot.
I mean,
That's a lot.
so
of
what
data.
so what was the theory? Well, now people can actually stream all the movies right from, or right to their Kindle for next to nothing.
Yeah, from the Amazon service too, from Amazon
Right.
Prime. I mean, many people have Amazon Prime, which gives you access to all these movies and TV shows that you can stream for free.
And video, you're right. The video, of course, and all the audio, as much audio as you can. 250 gigs. That is nuts. Well, what happened was the hackers got into that. They started hacking into the HD. Now they have all of this now LTE instead of the 3G, and so on and so forth. But still, Amazon, they did it right. They make sense. Now they're coming out with a phone. What are they doing? They're turning the wireless networking model upside down. They're looking at a program called the Amazon Prime Data. And what this will do is give you on your Amazon, let's say Prime phone. I don't know what they're going to call it, but we're going to have a picture up. There's a release of kind of like, I don't even know if it's true or not, but it could be rumored phone, but they have a picture of what it's going to look like, this radical new phone. But the idea here is you're going to have this data for next to nothing on the phone. Well, we know, you and I know AT&T, they give us a good, let's say, flogging every month for data, right? So if there's a phone out there, no matter how good or bad, that's going to give you, let's say, free data or pretty next to, close to free data, we'll Skype each other, or, you'll Skype your friends or do some other kind of voice over IP, some other kind of VoIP technology, and just talk on that and not even worry about this actual quote unquote network that you would go onto with a standard phone. That's all you need is data these days. So what's going to happen with that? I don't know. It's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, let's say even if you could get the same $50, 250 gig a month LTE plan on this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still fantastic.
It's game over. Yeah.
AT&T and the other guys, they're like $30 a month for 10 gigs.
Yeah. Plus plus all the other charges, plus text, plus voice, plus however many minutes, plus
and if you want tethering, that's a different plan, and blah blah blah. So this could really be a game changer as far as the data networks go. I mean, is the device itself going to be any good, or are people going to be running out there to buy the hardware? Who knows? That'll be still to be seen.
Right.
I'm sure it's going to run on the Android operating system. I doubt that they're going to create their own proprietary operating system for this. I mean, that's not really their thing.
No.
They kind of want to utilize existing technology. So, but it will be a modified variant, just the same as Samsung uses the KitKat version of the Android operating system. I'm sure Amazon will have its own variant. Exactly. And customized just for their data network and for streaming their services.
Yeah, and probably to implement some lockdown, some security features to make it harder for those hackers to get in there and use that data for free, which they will eventually. That's just the way it is. But for the 99 percentile out there that just will not be hacking it anyways, this is a really, really good model. What it does is it gets new people to buy this phone, whatever it is, right? Number one. Number two, it gets them into the Amazon family.
Yep.
So they can sell them Prime this and Prime that. They can sell them books. They can sell them videos. They can sell them audio. They can sell them any product that's on Amazon, the millions that are on there, all straight to the phone with just probably a click, because the thing will be locked down secure. So you could just, shop and not have to worry about it. You're on that thing. You don't have to worry about data, because there is no data. I mean, let's say if it's the 250
that you have
gigs,
to worry about,
you can't even download 250 gigs through an LTE connection these days. I mean, because half the time you're getting 4G or something less. But regardless, I mean, that would be absolutely a game changer for sure.
Yeah, and it's a way to get people into the Amazon hardware space as well. I mean, if they're, move over to the Fire tablets, move to the Fire TV, I mean, now they're getting a product line comparable to what Apple has and Samsung and all the other players out there. So
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see. Well, anyways, guys, we have a lot more for you, but before we go any further, let's go ahead and hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
All right, so we're back, and we kind of have a an actual photography topic today that we want to go over, and not just a gear type of thing. But kind of the question is, what if you had all this money burning a hole in your pocket? What would you do with it?
Right.
How would you spend it on your photography business?
Yeah, we get these type of questions
you put
regularly. Right?
Joe, you put some good ideas together here and stuff that we can kind of chat about.
Yeah. It's one of those things. We do get questions on this a lot. What do I buy? I got this amount of money, or I have this, or whatever. How do I
a lot
improve
of gear
here?
related questions?
A lot of that, right? Well,
Yep.
It's not always gear. So the very first thing I would have to say is education.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it's free education or paid for education. Educate, because things change every year. How you do things change, and then the tools that you use change, and how you use them changes also. And if you're up to date, that means that you can be more profitable, because time is money. If you can do the same thing that you did 2 years ago twice as fast, you're twice as profitable, right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of great educational resources out there. Linda, of course, Kelby Training.
Sure.
I think Peachtree's still in business too.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. So definitely, I mean, as far as software goes, I mean, you've got a lot of opportunities there. Then as far as photography specific techniques, shooting techniques, lighting techniques, I mean, there's definitely a lot of resources out there for that as well.
Right.
So that's definitely, I would spend money in the educational area for sure.
Right. But if you have to get hardware, right? You just need something. You need to buy some hardware. And you're doing portraits. I would say one of the biggest things would be a really nice mini soft light, like a light box, would be number one. That or an umbrella, because it's so much easier to be able to control light with an umbrella or with some type of light box than in comparison to shooting bare bulb. I would say that would probably be number 2 on my list. It's very important, and you can get them very cheap. These little mini light boxes, you can get them on eBay for $8, $10, $12, really cheap. And then umbrella, they are even cheaper. Get a stand and a little umbrella, and you're off to go, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't really shoot with flash. I'm more of a constant lighting type of guy. Nothing wrong with flash, it's just my preference. But regardless, I mean, reflectors, scrims, diffusers, whether you're using flash or constant light, that's still a great piece of equipment to have. Right. I've really got into using fluorescent lighting now for a lot of product photography and everything that I do, because of the low heat. What I see is what I get. I'm not guessing with the flashes, but this constant fluorescent lighting also works great for portrait photography. Yeah, and I've done some with that. I don't do a lot of portrait work, but I've done some with that. And having some form of a reflector really comes in handy. And again, they're not that expensive at all.
Yeah. And the ones that you're talking about are flicker free, which helps a lot, especially if you're going to be doing video with them also.
Yeah, I use them for video. I use them for stills. Yeah.
Right. They work out great. They also have LED equivalents now that you can buy. They're a little bit more expensive, like 1 foot by 1 foot bricks that work out really, really good. As of right now, I'm not a fan of the LEDs as of yet. I think they're a little bit harsh. I mean, if you diffuse the heck out of them, you can really make some pretty good light out of them. But they, a 1 by 1 right out of the box aimed at your model will just simply blind her. They don't. They're okay. They're okay. I'm not a fan. I don't like the light that they produce. Whenever you get LEDs that are colored, I cannot see them at all because they look horrible. Especially later on in post, you look at it, it's like, oh my God, what has happened here? It looks horrible. But definitely some type of reflector, scrim, some of this type of thing, light box, any type of LED or like you're using, great. Next, I would say a Wacom tablet. If you don't have a tablet and you're doing photo retouching, you need to get one. You're missing the boat. Because if you're trying to retouch images, like you're in there, like poor level in a face, and you're sitting there trying to use a mouse, you're really hurting yourself. You're losing a lot of time where you can do stuff twice as fast, maybe 3 times as quick with like a Wacom tablet or something similar. It might be a little bit cheaper, but a tablet in positions of pressure, let's say. So you can really get in there and go something very light or something very hard and control it with your pen in comparison to controlling it or varying the brush based on percentages, continuously moving it around. So it's huge. Definitely a Wacom or something similar tablet is a good thing to buy, to spend your money on.
Yeah, I definitely like a good lens too, like a good 85 millimeter lens. I've got a 85 that I use, and I love that lens. It's a beautiful lens. You know, if you're on a crop sensor, even like a full frame, you know, we always talk about the Nifty 50 for Canon, that cheapo $100 plastic lens, but it does a really nice job.
Beautiful.
You want to step it up a little bit, you know, and get the, you know, what is it? I think it's a 1.4.
Yep,
isn't it?
1.4 50.
And, you know, of course, that's a lot more money, but it's a beautiful lens, great for doing portraits. You know, it definitely gives you the ability to get in a little bit tighter, to be a little bit more personal with your subject too, rather than having to be so far away.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the 85. I would say buy an 85 if you have a full frame and you know you're going to have your constant 85. If you have a crop sensor, then I would probably go with a 50 because that, you know, extrapolated out is about close to an 85 millimeter, right around there. Right. And yes, I love the toy lens, the little, what is it, a 1.8 or something like that for $99 on the 50 side. And also a 1.4 is about close to 400 for a good 1.4 on a 50. Big difference in price, but you get a little bit better quality, obviously, for that heavier glass compared to the plastic lens. But regardless, if you don't have that money, that $99 on a crop sensor, 50, you'll be like, oh my God, my portraits, they look great. What happened? You know?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, take a look at those. That works out fantastic. Next, I would say, get a background that is a gray paper background. Get a nice large paper gray background, because with that gray, you can go ahead and turn that gray based on your flash into pure black, or you can take that gray and turn it into pure white with simply adding some maybe one or two flashes in the back, focused on that backdrop. So the gray works out absolutely perfect, and also it retains color gel color integrity really, really well. So if you blast the background with a blue, if you shoot it on a white background, it kind of turns into a mushy light blue cyan kind of mess. Whereas if you shoot it onto a gray background, it really retains a lot of that blue that you're shooting back there. So I would say invest in a background that is gray, number one. Number two, paper. Don't go with the cloth. I think they're great and everything. You know, they last you a lifetime. But the problem with them is you're constantly ironing them. If not, you have awful lighting distortion in the back where you have like a whole strip line going down it where there's a wrinkle or something. Now you're in post-production, right? We don't want to be in post-production. We don't want to take out wrinkles in post. So
that's right. You know, I mean, unless you're looking for that wrinkly fabric background.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I guess that's another thing.
Don't look for that. Add it after the fact if you want, but don't have to try to take that out after. It's just more and more work. Anyways, I always say get it right in the camera, guys. So a couple of things to keep in mind as far as getting it right in the camera. I'm personally a flash guy. I know you're not. For me, flash all the time. I don't care if it's daylight, midlight, after light. I don't care if it's midnight or if it's it doesn't make a difference. Or if it's high noon, put a flash on the camera, preferably externally, and have that flash off camera. You will be able to, night and day, you have full control over the subject, you have a full control of the background and how intense both are with that flash. If you're not familiar with shooting flash, I know it's not an easy thing and it takes a time to understand. But once you learn flash photography using these small flashes, you will have full control over the shots. And what's good is if you are a professional, what they're looking for is that you can make the shot no matter what condition. And by having those small flashes in your bag, you know you will be confident that you'll be able to make the shot. Doesn't matter if it's a dreary day or if it's a bright sunny day, but that's the only time that you have, let's say, this model or actor to be able to shoot. You can make it work. Without them, it's not going to happen unless you have 2 or 3 guys holding a bunch of reflectors and scrims and diffusers that will do the same thing that you could do by yourself with a couple of light sticks and a couple of small flashes.
Right. Yeah, and color calibration. We always talk about calibrating your monitors. We talk about, calibrating your shots up front.
Right.
And using a color checker by X-Ray, there's a couple different ones out there,
Sure.
really can help a lot. You
Absolutely.
shoot it, in your first picture, and it allows you to go in after the fact and post and click on the swatches and color balance your
Exactly.
images.
And just
Big time saver.
absolutely getting it right in the camera, just like we said at this area. Get it right in the camera. If you don't have the money to go grab like a passport or one of these color checkers, go ahead and ask the maitre d' if you're shooting inside of a wedding or some type of venue for a white napkin. You shoot that white napkin in the same room that you're going to take all of your shots. You go ahead and use that to color calibrate after the fact. You will be 99% dead on. Also, you can go ahead and calibrate your camera to that white napkin right from the beginning. And now what's even better is all of the pictures that you do in that room will be calibrated in the camera, and you'll have your mid point of that raw photo being right to begin with. So you can push it Calvin left, push it Calvin right, and it'll come out great. Too many times I see photographers shooting these awful lighting situations where it's like 2800 Kelvin, where everything's yellow, and then later try pushing it all the way up the gamut in Lightroom. The problem is you're losing so much integrity to the color that the pictures just look washed. They look horrible, and they don't understand why. That's the answer. Get it right in the camera, and you don't have to try pushing it later and losing a ton of integrity to the color.
Yes, I agree. And then, of course, we always talk about lens calibration. Get that autofocus sharp so you know that your images are looking as good as possible.
Absolutely. So anyways, moving on, I just want to give you guys one thing before we get out of here, which would be kind of just kind of a little something from us to you guys. I know a lot of us are traveling continuously. We're waiting in the airports, or we're waiting in a hotel lobby someplace or whatnot. We need something to do. There's a program that will just occupy a ton of your time, and it's an RPG-based type of role-playing game on your iPhone. I'm not sure if they have it for Android, but look, it's called Tiny Dice Dungeon. Take a look at this. Look it up. It's free, okay? And it's kind of MMO-ish, so you can play against other real players. It's just an actual, like a dungeon crawler. It just reminds me of the old school Atari days, the 2600 days, where it's just simply fun, very addicting, and it will just, your time will just blow by while you're sitting around waiting. So check.
Totally not photography related, but fun nonetheless.
It's one of those freebies.
We like our games every once in a while.
Absolutely.
You gotta do something to keep some sanity, right? Otherwise it's work all the time.
Absolutely.
Just drive yourself crazy.
I know. So anyways, Trev, we should get out of here.
Yeah, I think so. So if people want to connect with you outside of the show, what's the best way for them to reach you?
You guys can find me on Twitter, and that's at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H.
Great. And you can connect with me on Twitter. It's at Trevor Curran.
That's right, everyone. We are done for yet another week. You can get all the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/151. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/dphotocafe. And we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with any compatible device by visiting youtube.com/dphotocafe. Be sure to subscribe to our audio feed through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps, or through RSS. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your hosts.